Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another week. Is it just me, or is working from home these days seem to be moving as fast as it was before? We weren't. So Sydney has been having the most beautiful weather this week, so I hope you're getting to get outside to enjoy it. Over the weekend it was really fantastic, not like winter at all. So today I'm going to talk about fermented foods again, and we are going to get more specific into the foods. So welcome to all the new people on the page. I'm Ange Sinclair and I'm the Digestive Detective. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to talk about sauerkraut. So sauerkraut's the oldest form of preserving cabbage and can be traced back as far as the 4th century BC. So it's pretty old. So it contains really large quantities of lactic acid, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, and vitamin K, and some minerals in there as well. Selenium, notably, is one of them. So cabbage in sauerkraut has really high amounts of glucosinolates. So these are chemical compounds that are really well researched for anti-cancer activities. So they help improve estrogen metabolism. So they are thought to play a role in helping the prevention of breast cancer. So think about that, that by adding sauerkraut to your plate, you can reduce your estrogen metabolism. So it's also really useful, I've seen, for the treatment of acid reflux, because the cabbage juice produces a substance that's like glutamine, so it can help with the healing of the esophagus. Also, it's got a nutrient called choline, which can help lower blood pressure. So you can see it's pretty versatile in which parts of the body that it helps. With digestion issues, we have seen there are good research studies on it reducing gas, bloating, and really helpful in controlling those symptoms, but beneficial for people who have Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. So I think that's important to remember. So something to think about if you eat sauerkraut. If you are a histamine person, so you have sneezing, itching, hives, all of those things, it may not be for you. So it's because sauerkraut is really high in histamine because it gets fermented for such a long time. So just be mindful of that when you eat it. So that can also be dose dependent. So if you are do have some hay fevery symptoms, try starting at a smaller dose than a bigger dose. So the next one I'm going to talk about is milk kefir. So it originated from the mountainous regions that divides Asia and Europe, so which is pretty good. So it has a similar consistency to yogurt, but a lot thinner. And if you haven't tried kefir, it's got a really tart, sour taste and a tangy fizz, which comes from the carbon dioxide in the fermenting process. So it's really rich in protein and calcium. You do need kefir grains to make it, and it has been shown to be really helpful in conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and IBS management. It can also help a person, I've seen this in clinic, who is lactose intolerant and can't drink milk. So what happens is during the fermentation process, 40% of the lactose is broken down into lactic acid, and the fermentation process makes enzymes that can help you break lactose down in our digestive tract, which is really great. So, and I have seen this in my own family, actually, where they were lactose intolerant, and when they started drinking it, they stopped being lactose intolerant. And casein, which is the milk protein, can also be broken down in kefir. So this makes it a lot more tolerable to people who have casein sensitivity issues. So one of the things that I have seen it used for was I had a client that had recurring infection of Clostridium difficile, so which can be a really life-threatening condition. So she was given rounds and rounds of the antibiotic vancomycin, and what happens is eventually they become immune to vancomycin, and they can actually die from it. So she needed to get rid of it, and there is a research paper saying that it's been used for Clostridium difficile. So she started making her own milk kefir, and she completely resolved the issue for herself. Even her doctors were really surprised with it. And the next one I'm going to talk about is kimchi. So kimchi is a traditional Korean food. It's a really great source of folate. So if you're planning to get pregnant, start eating your kimchi, because that will be really good to prevent neural tube defects. And it's loaded with calcium as well, so good for our bones and our teeth. So kimchi is excellent for our digestive health because cabbage has a really large fiber content and can keep our bowels moving, really regularly. So it's also loaded with garlic, ginger, and peppers, which help to support and protect our immune system. So when they're fermented, they're actually supercharged. So that's what we love. The Koreans also believe it's has anti-aging qualities, and that's probably due to the high vitamin C and antioxidant content in it. So, my hair's going wild today. So be mindful of that. And kimchi comes in about 200 or 300 different varieties, and each province in Korea has a different way they make it. So you can get some really nice tasting ones. The next one is beet kvass. So originally it originated from Russia, and traditionally it was made with stale rye sourdough bread. I make mine using yogurt whey. So beet kvass is really rich in polyphenols, which can help reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease, because that helps prevent nitric. That's not right. So it can help you reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease because it produces nitric oxide. So nitric oxide dilates the blood vessels, so more blood can pump through them, and it can help lower our blood pressure like that. So it's all shown, also been shown to improve the diversity of our microbiome. And lastly, I'm going to talk about kombucha. So kombucha is said to have originated in northeast China about 220 BC. And then it spread throughout the world through the trade routes. It's made from sweetened black tea and a specific culture called a SCOBY. So they're normally around that big SCOBYs. So SCOBY itself stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So the bacteria and yeast essentially convert the sugar into ethanol and acetic acid. And it's that acetic acid that gives kombucha a sour taste. So in doing the research for this, there are no human studies on kombucha and its benefits for Australia, for healthy adults. It's not one that I recommend to people often because it's I don't think that it's a beneficial bacteria to us, and I've had a talk with a dentist, holistic dentist, and he says he doesn't think it's very beneficial for people either because he sees lots of decay in people who drink a lot of kombucha. So there has been some issues with pregnant women drinking it, and also people who are immune compromised. So kombucha is one I would drink sporadically. It's not one that I would have all the time, and I drink it more as a drink rather than as a health food. That I think the other fermented foods are much better. So that's my roundup. But most countries in the world have a fermented food that they celebrate. There's lots of different ones that I can think of. So remember my tips for fermented foods. If you're really new to them, go low and start slow. We just need, it's a condiment size. It's not half a plate size, because this is where people have trouble. So if you haven't already got a copy of my free fermented recipe book, you can get them from the link in my bio if you're watching on Insta, and the link in the video here on Facebook. I will pop it in as soon as the video posts up. So have a fantastic day, everyone. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Transformation Tuesday, and get outside and enjoy some sunshine today. Have a great day, everyone.